What's going on, everybody? LK here, back at it again with another video, and today we are back on Dragon Ball Fighters. So today we're going to continue our series with a character that people generally think is a strong character. Actually, the only thing about this character though is that he's not commonly seen on competitive teams, even though basically everyone thinks he's a really good character, and that character is Blue Goku. Now, I want to talk about his strengths and his weaknesses and why people have thought he's really good for a long time, but he's never seen a lot of competitive play. And as usual, if you like the character guides, match analysis, and everything else I've been putting on this channel, definitely consider liking this video or subscribing to the channel if you already have not. It does help the channel grow, and I do appreciate it. Thank you so much. So we've talked about characters like Zamasu and Cooler and Super Broly, characters that have good points but have pretty clear flaws on top of that, whether or not it's something that everyone agrees on or everyone does not. So I wanted to mix it up a little bit by talking about a character that everyone considers to be a pretty good character, Blue Goku. In fact, I personally rated him pretty high. In my tier list, I had a top tier and an S tier, and he was at the top of that group. So all that being said, what is the issue of him if he's considered to be such a strong character? So let's start with the character himself and how he's been in the game. So he's basically been in the game since its release. When he dropped, he wasn't really popular, always kind of a low-key, casual type of character. Competitive players didn't really like him that much. Now, he's a really good example of a character that can do a lot of stuff. So that statement might sound pretty silly. Okay, everyone can do a lot of stuff. This is true, but there are characters who can just do a lot of things, and there are characters whose strength come out in more subtle ways. So my homie Roshi is an example of this, right? So he's not a commonly played character, but it's implied that a lot of his tools are good. So for example, his super dash isn't a normal super dash, it's a jump that you can control. But the really strong point about it is that it goes through Ki Blast, totally. It does not graze Ki Blast like other super dashes do, it's just completely invincible to them. So you saw a neutral example of that, but it has a ton of applications. For example, on defense, you could just super dash out of things. An easy example is this. You can just super jump out of things with his super dash, but similarly, you could use his super dash to get out of grab situations as well, and he goes flying across the screen. So despite it looking like it's just for one thing, you could use it for a bunch of moves that you wouldn't even think that it could be used for. Now, Blue Goku is more of the opposite. Like, he has a lot of tools that do stuff and everyone understands, and not a lot of subtlety to what he does. So for example, he has the teleporting move that is plus. It teleports behind you and it's plus. There's nothing else. He also has a lariat that beats Ki Blast, and one that also teleports behind. On top of that, he's mobile in a very traditional fashion, so in addition to moves like those, he also has a dive kick for moving around the screen, and his blue Vegeta-esque Ki Blast. Not so much as far as range, but just in that it does not have a lot of recovery, and he's very plus when he does it. Offense-wise, he has a really important tool that almost no character has. He's got this 4M. So his 5M, his standard medium, advances quite a bit, and it's -8 on block, but his 4M is much safer, it's -2, and he does not advance as much, so you can use it at really far range, and it's really hard for the opponent to counterattack from this range. On top of all that, he has a command grab to help you open people up. His standard one is pretty fast, it's 17, and while the others are 30 and 28 frames respectively, you do get really big combos. He's able to loop this move at a combo, and he's really good at building meter, so he functions as a really strong point character. Combine him with standard strong assists, and he's able to maneuver around the screen very easily. So quite honestly, as a character alone, his only real weak point is that he doesn't have any beam property moves. Even this is not such a huge deal, because he has the ability to teleport behind people. The only thing is that it's not that instant, so you do have to maneuver around and try to read them when they go for things like these. So all these strong points, so previous characters I've talked about, they've had a bunch of flaws in their plan. But Blue Goku doesn't really have a super glaring weakness compared to the characters we talked about before. So why don't people play him that much? Now again, especially because of this teleport and this teleport being plus, casual players were always pretty high on him. They're always thinking he was really good and is super underrated. But again, he has not seen so much competitive play until really this season. And in my opinion, it's because of how flexible he is as a character. Again, this is a team game, it's not a 1 versus 1 game. So there are definitely examples, even of strong characters, that can't be put on a lot of teams. I think Blue Goku is a really good example. So the real issue here comes from the assists that he has. So one is his A assist. It's a dive kick assist that has 29 frames block stun. This used to be ridiculously hard to confirm off of, and this was probably the main reason he was not played before. It was just really hard for characters to use this assist. It covers a pretty important angle in the game, and it has some minor, not really good tracking. It's definitely a good thing, and in this version they made it so it ground bounces, so it's a little bit easier to combo off of. His B assist is a standard tackle assist. It has the same amount of block stun as his dive kick assist, it just covers the ground. Now, like his normal tackle, it does beat Ki Blast, which is nice, but it doesn't go that far on the screen, nor is it an especially fast assist. And finally, there is his C assist, which is a 50 frame, 35 frame block stun tracking assist. The tracking at a glance is not so bad, and it tracks people in the air, which is pretty good, but there are a bunch of ways to mess with this tracking. So again, his support value is not quite there. The main thing that he adds to the team is what he does for the beginning of the game. And while he does a lot of damage, because again, he can loop this move, build a bunch of meter, and supports characters well if he gets that going. From a competitive perspective, there are either characters who do what he does, but better, even though he's close to being top tier, like Base Vegeta. Similarly, he's really good at building meter, can loop a move just like Blue Goku, and does a lot of damage, generally 2-touching you. Doesn't have a command grab, but does have more easy ways maybe of doing high-lows depending on what you pick with him. And you have characters like UI Goku, who again build a lot of meter, they don't use a lot of resources, he has better defense than Blue Goku. Blue Goku doesn't have special defense either, and both Base Vegeta and UI Goku have better assists, so you can play them in later slots if you want, mid or anchor, or if you choose to use them point, if you win the point war, aka if you kill the first character, once you swap into another character, then that assist will support your team more in a stronger overall way than any of the Blue Goku assists. So despite being really strong, he ends up fitting on really specific builds. I think the best example of this that you saw, which is admittedly a very, very good team and a team we saw do a lot of work in Nationals, was this team. But even then, this team was basically made to accent Blue Goku's strengths a lot. Other team builds that you see played commonly would probably work better without Blue Goku. So for example, let's use the team that Kaz won JP Nationals with, but replace Gotenks with Blue Goku. So the team would be something like this. While this is certainly a good team, a very good team actually, with Gotenks there's a little bit more threat if you win the point war with this team, because once you kill a character of UI Goku, you bring in Gotenks, you have the same protection of the DP assist and Rising Heat, and the B assist, Martial Spirit, to protect Gotenks, and anytime Gotenks hits you, he gets Ghost Oki on top of that, where Blue Goku doesn't get an equivalent. Or if you run a team like this is a really common Dragon Punch and Beam assist build, right? So you have Blue Goku, again, strong point, gets to do all the great stuff he gets to do, with the UI Goku support as well and Beam. This is really common. Here we could argue that this can be better. I'm not gonna say it's definitely a better team, but here you have the option of having another defensive assist if you want an Android 18A, or you can have another neutral support in Android 18B, and you still have the DP and another Beam. Plus, when Android 18 hits you, she has really, really strong knockdown with a character that acts independently of herself without needing an assist. Android 17, which I think is very strong. Blue Goku does not have access to that as well. The best thing that he could do is spend his own meter on level 3, and he has a very good level 3, but one of the things he's supposed to add to the team is his ability to build meter for other characters. So, hopefully that made sense. This is a pretty common theme with the characters I had in my S tier. Again, I had it organized a little bit differently than other people. At a top tier S, S-, A+ ranking. So those S characters are all super strong, but you have to build pretty specific teams with them. Blue Goku is a great example of that. As usual, if you have any questions or comments, definitely feel free to leave them in the comment section below. Like and subscribe if you feel like it, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.